Oh, yes, it is.
Okay. I'm like sitting down and I'm like, wait a second, I already have one.
What time? What's the matter? 2 minutes doesn't mean 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I gotta say something. Right? Things don't always work out.
I haven't read the memo.
All right, everybody ready? Can I bring the judge out? Counsel?
Alrighty then, that'd be awesome.
July 7th, 2012, a raiding party set out from Brooklyn, Massachusetts. 2 carloads of men, 6 men, Adam Bradford, Jason Estabrook, Stephen Koch, Sofan Keith, and these 2 men, Gabriel Arias and Peter Vick. The men had a common plan, a common purpose. Home invasion and armed robbery. They knew what they wanted, they knew how they were going to get it. This was not a crime of opportunity, this was not a snap decision. This was carefully planned and articulated. They were not hasty. The evidence will show you that they arrived in Eureka near the scene of the crime, fully an hour before the crime took place. They did not rush things, they took their time. They drove up and down the streets of the river in a town at night where there was nothing open, not one bar, or restaurant, or club, or lounge. The town was closed. Almost everyone was sleeping. But still, they were patient. They were careful. They took their time. As they drove up and down Route 3A, the river, 3 men with 3 guns, and the one closest to them looked straight at him, holding in his hands a boxy, dark-colored handgun, looking out at them over a bandana with blue eyes, and ordering them to get on the floor. These men had acted with every advantage. They had superior numbers. They had superior firepower. They had the advantage of surprise. But Quintin Koehler wasn't going to lie down. Instead, he told the gunman he could take his gun and shove it up his ass. And he and his brother armed themselves with whatever they could find, and they advanced on the assailants. Quintin grabbed the tea kettle. His brother Ryan grabbed the frying pan, and they moved forward at the gun. And as they did so, they realized there were not just 3 gunmen. There was a 4th, a larger man, an imposing figure at least 250 pounds. A white man wearing a red shirt, black shorts, black high-top sneakers. And as they realized he was there, they turned their attention to him. Ryan tried to tackle him. And Ryan, you'll see, is a solid man, but he could not move a large figure. Quintin joined in. He took the tea kettle, and with everything he had, he smashed that man in the head as hard as he could. But still, he didn't go down. Both brothers then simultaneously tackled the biggest man, pushing him backward into the other gunman, trying to shove him toward the door. And they were actually managing to move him some when Ryan heard 3 shots ring out. First 1, and then 2 more in close succession. And he saw his younger brother slump towards the floor, and he saw him bleed from his head. His brother couldn't speak, not any words could he speak. He called for help. And the gunman ran. EMTs arrived. They took Quintin Koehler immediately to the hospital. The doctors did what they could, but they could not save him. He died. Gunshot wound. Police arrived immediately thereafter. They scoured the area, but the gunmen were gone. They wore masks to hide their faces. You'll understand they wore latex gloves. There were no fingerprints left behind. Those men were gone without a trace. Except they did leave a trace. Traces, in fact. There were traces everywhere. They just took a little while. There were traces of their identity, traces of their plan, traces of their movements, traces of their plot, traces of their communications, traces of their very selves. And step by step, you will see as the course of this trial unfolds how those traces will add up. You will come to understand exactly who did this crime, and why they did it, and how they carried it out, and just how close they came to getting away.
July 6th, 2012, Gabriel Arias gets a call from a friend, hey, do you want to go to a party? Sort of a block party. And it's a big party, cookout, fireworks, a lot of people going. Sure. Goes to the party, doesn't leave for the party. Hard for someone my age to realize, but doesn't leave for the party till 11 o'clock. But goes to a party with a friend. Gets home in the wee hours of the morning on July 7th. July 7th. Over there. Quintin Koehler is shot. 7 weeks later, the police come and knock on Gabriel Arias' door. 7 weeks. And say, we're investigating a murder, we want to talk to you. Does he slam the door in their face? No. Come in, sit at the kitchen table, talk. What do you want to know? DA is going to ask you to draw a lot of inferences, but you're not going to find any evidence. And the district attorney, when he got up, said it was a raiding party of 6 people. Again, purely theory. There's no proof of a raiding party. There's no proof of 6 people.
Young man, Peter Ben, did not commit the crime of murder, either himself or as a joint venture. A young man who is not just not guilty, he is innocent of these charges. Innocent because he did not participate in any joint venture, and they are not going to be able to prove it to you. But in trying to figure out how, in a few minutes, to explain this to you, I had a great deal of problem. And that problem was really 2 different things. One is, how will promote the festival?
You mean in the morning?
That's right.
I walked out, looked at them, and called the Bellerica Police because of what I had seen on the news earlier.
And did you touch those gloves or disturb them in any way?
No, sir.
In order to contact the police, how did you go about it?
I went inside, picked up my phone, called 911, and talked with an officer there.
The residents had found an item that they wanted me to recover.
Were you directed to a certain area of the home?
I actually met Deanna Mayone right outside the house. There's a walkway that goes down from the driveway to the home. I met her in that area.
And without describing the conversation that took place, at some point were you directed to an object?
Yes, I was.
And what did you see in your
There was a white paper towel that there was a shell casing that was enclosed in the white paper towel.
Once you saw that item, what steps did you take to secure it?
I secured it for evidence and then photographed it.
Basically, then I examine the wounds, take measurements, and describe where they are.
What have you known about the wounds on the horse?
So he had what appeared to be an entrance gunshot wound on the right side of his forehead. And then he had a second smaller wound on the right side of his head, and then a larger wound on the back right side of his head.
You described the first wound you observed as being an entrance gunshot wound. What is it about your training and experience that helped you formulate that opinion?
So in this case, the wounds are somewhat distorted because they've been sewn closed, but there was basically a rim of dark discoloration, or it's basically pigment that comes off the bullet when it goes through the wound. That told me it was likely an entrance wound. And then when we opened the skull, the fracturing pattern on the skull also told me that it was an entrance wound.
And that distinctive pigmentation drive, is that not typically present in your experience on the exit wound when a gunshot is penetrated the skull?
Usually not.
Did you make a sketch of what you observed as you were conducting your examination? You did together to make money?
Yes.
What was that?
We would buy marijuana in large amounts and sell them.
And let me ask you, so you said large amounts. How much marijuana would you and Quintin Koehler buy at a time doing that business?
We would purchase, in most cases, around a pound or 2 pounds each time.
And for people that aren't familiar with it, what would you typically pay to buy a pound of marijuana?
We would pay around, roughly around $3,600 or $35, depending on how many we would purchase.
And when you would sell the marijuana, would you sell it a whole pound at a time?
No,
How would you sell it?
we would sell it in small amounts.